YouTube, welcome to Bracket Fights. As you guys can see on screen right now, this is an NCAA March Madness style competition with all of the Danganronpa characters from the first game, the second game, V3, and UDG. I'm super excited to choose the characters that are going to end up being the best character once we finish all of this. Who does SHSL Blaze think is the best Danganronpa character of them all? I think some of you guys are going to guess Chiaki. Let me just say that you're probably going to be wrong. Maybe, possibly. We'll find out. Before we jump into this video, hit that like button. It helps me out in the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you want to check out Bracket Fight yourself, you can hit the link in the description and it will send you over to the website. And Bracket Fights is exactly like Tier List Maker. It's actually created by the same people who made Tier List Maker, so I highly advise you guys to check it out for yourselves, make your own brackets and such, and let me know who you guys would choose in the matchups that we're going to see today in this video. So let's get into this video. So to begin, we're going to hit the use matchup mode up here, and it pulls up the matchups one by one up on screen, as you guys can see right now. Our first one is Gundam versus Kazuichi. I relate to Kazuichi a lot more personally. I feel like our personality types jive really well. I feel like I kind of act like Kazuichi in certain circumstances. I'm a big fan of Gundam. He's very smooth, and on top of that, he has hamsters, and I mean, the hamsters kind of one up Kazuichi, to be honest. I think I'm gonna give this one to Gundam just because of the hamsters. Like, the hamsters are just amazing. Who doesn't like the 4 Dark Days of Destruction? Sorry, Kazuichi, but Gundam takes the cake here. Next up, we have a very difficult matchup. Probably one of the only characters who can match up against Chiaki in my eyes. We have Chihiro versus Chiaki. I'm giving it to Chiaki just because y'all know how it works, but I'm just gonna say this right now. Chiaki's only winning by like a little bit, like a smidge. I like Chiaki a smidge more than I like Chihiro. That was a very close matchup though. So next up on our matchups, we have Celeste versus Junko. For me, this one is really easy. Celeste's overall style and personality is more my type. I like the gothic Lolita look, and on top of that, I really liked her antagonistic vibes in Danganronpa 1. Junko, of course, is very legendary. She has all of the clout. Everybody loves Junko. Everybody loves the cosplay as Junko, but I like Celeste a lot better. We're going with Celeste 100%. Okay, so next up, we have Kyoko Kitagiri versus Kaide, and this is a very unfair matchup. I mean, if you think about it, Kyoko has been in so many games, has so much backstory revealed and everything. Like, I feel like I grew up with Kyoko at this point. And then we have Kaide, who hasn't even seen the light of day, barely had a chapter, barely was even in V3. If you were to ask me who do I like mesh more with, like who do I relate more with, I would tell you Kaide. I really think Kaide is awesome, but I'm sorry, Kitagiri is just an OG, and she kind of takes the cake here. I'm picking Kitagiri. Okay, so this next matchup is easy too for me. We have Ibuki versus Miyu. I'm not the biggest fan of Miyu personally, especially next to Ibuki, who is the queen. Like what I was saying about Kazuichi and Kaide, I also jive and personally relate to Ibuki. Very positive, very optimistic, and just a fun person all around. Ibuki slays. I'm going with the queen of guitar. Next up on the matchups, we have Makoto versus Kibo, and this is another pretty easy one for me. A lot of you guys might be upset about this one. I know a lot of people are fans of Kibo. Kibo is a fan favorite in V3. Makoto, for a lot of people, isn't really a fan favorite. A lot of people think that Makoto is probably the worst pro tag in the series. I would argue with you that Makoto is the best. I've always loved Makoto. I am a hardcore fan of Makoto. I stan Makoto. I'm going with Makoto in this matchup. Please don't hit the dislike button. I know it's gonna happen, but don't hit it. Next up, we have Hajime versus Shuichi, and this is another easy one. I'm just saying back-to-back easy ones here. What I'm about to say is nothing new. If you've been on this channel for a while and you followed me, you know that I don't like Hajime. I think Hajime is the worst pro tag out of all of the pro tags in the series. I'm not the biggest fan of Shuichi either, but if we had to pick one out of both of these, I'm definitely going with Shuichi. Oh my god. Hey, hold on. This matchup is so weird. So we have Togami versus Ultimate Imposter. Togami is a character that I hated when I first met them, but they grow on you when you go throughout the series. It's kind of like Kirigiri, and it's also like Makoto. Togami is one of those characters that I just grew up with. Like, I feel like they just rub off on you the more that you play the game. Like I said with Kaide, Ultimate Imposter didn't really see the time of day except in the Danganronpa 3 anime. If you watch that, they are a very sweet person, and I like their little arc in Danganronpa 3. I'm gonna have to go with the OG here, Togami, but Ultimate Imposter tosser was very close on that one too. All right, so next on the list now, okay, this is getting a little bit better. It's getting a little bit harder now. So we have Akane versus Nekomaru. I think I might be a little bit more biased on this one. I've always felt like Akane had so much more potential as a character that we didn't really get to see in the series. Nekomaru, as much as I love, it's just another muscly man, and I don't know, muscly men scare me, I guess. And then the whole Mechamaru arc happened, and I just wasn't a big fan of that. So I think out of these two, I'm definitely going with Akane. All right, so this next matchup is the underdogs. We're getting into the underdogs now. We have Mahiru versus Tenko. Mahiru, although hasn't really shown me much in Danganronpa 2, I was kind of a fan of her. This one's hard because I want to put Tenko, but at the same time, there's some things about Tenko that are kind of pushing me back and kind of leaning towards Mahiru more, because Mahiru just has like that girl next door look. And on top of that, I really like her ultimate talent. The ultimate photographer, I think, is really cool. And I feel like that they could have utilized her a lot more than they did in the game. I'm gonna have to go with Mahiru on this one. Yeah, I'm sorry, Tenko, but Mahiru for sure on that one. All right, so our next matchup is Tsumugi versus Toko. Oh, this one's easy. I'm sorry, Miss Plain Jane, but I'm going with Toko on this one because Toko is my girl. Toko has so much to love about her. And then her whole relationship that she built with Kamaru and UDG. I'm actually playing UDG currently right now. I just love it. Toko is a fun character overall. I would pick Tsumugi if she was against somebody else, but definitely not Toko. Toko takes the bag on that one. Next up, we have Ryoma versus Mondo. Oh God, we have new generation versus old generation. You know, Mondo as a standalone character isn't one of my faves. I like Mondo when paired with Kiyotaka. I like their relationship together. But once you split them up and you look at them as single characters, they aren't as great. Ryoma is a really awesome character if you've played V3 and you've gone through their free time events. I've always loved Ryoma's design for some reason. Ryoma is what Teruteru wanted to look like. I'm going with Ryoma on this one. I think Ryoma's a better character than Mondo. Next up, we have Fuyuhiko versus Kaido. Oh, okay, we're getting really difficult here. Oh my God, I did a whole video talking about my love for Fuyuhiko. But if you watched my V3 playthrough, you know how much I love Kaido Momoda. You know, when it comes to their character and their character development that I had seen, I'm gonna have to go with Fuyuhiko. I think he went through a lot. His character went from bad to good. You know what I mean? Kaido always was good in V3, but like Fuyuhiko went from bad to good. Like I went from not liking his character to loving his character. Kind of similar to what I was saying earlier about Togami. So in this matchup against these two, I'm going with Fuyuhiko. They would do this one. We have Kokichi versus Nagito, the classic matchup. Like you literally cancel your friends over this matchup depending on what they choose. Nagito is just way more fleshed out in my opinion. I love the OVA that they gave him, and on top of that, he came before Kokichi, and it was kind of more of a surprise to me when this character kind of came out of nowhere, just causing all of this stress on everyone else, making the killing game very unpredictable. Whereas when Kokichi came about in V3, I was already kind of like, yeah, I've already kind of been through that. It didn't really come as a surprise as much. It was entertaining. He's a very entertaining character. It just wasn't as shocking as Nagito was. So on this matchup, I am going to say that Nagito is winning this one. All right, so our next matchup is Mono Kid versus Monotaro. Mono Kid always made me laugh during V3. I actually like this bear a lot. This is my favorite bear out of all of them. Monotaro just felt like your average leader bear, you know, like it didn't really have any flavor to him. In this matchup, I'm going with Mono Kid 100%. Yo, this matchup is goofy. We have Monokuma versus Monomi. I have always said how much I despise Monomi, which is funny because I'm sitting here saying that, like, you know, I like Ibuki and Kazuichi and characters that are very optimistic and just positive. And here's Monomi, who is that kind of character, right? And I absolutely despise them. I'm going with Monokuma. All right, so it's keeping me on the left side of the bracket. So we move back up to now we have Gundam versus Chiaki. This matchup is definitely light work. I'm giving it to Chiaki. That one's easy for me. Next up, we have Celeste versus Kirigiri. I'm going with Celeste. Celeste is definitely beating Kirigiri on that one. Next up, we have Ibuki versus Makoto. Hey, hold on. Ibuki is taking that. I am sorry, Makoto. I know I said that I was a Makoto stan. I like Makoto out of all of the protagonists, but I could never choose Makoto over Ibuki. Heck no. Next up, we have Shuichi versus Togami. For this matchup, I am definitely going Togami all the way. Now we have Akane versus Mahiru. Akane all day. That one's very simple for me. We're clicking on that Akane. Next up, we have Toko versus Ryoma, and this one is a hard one for me. So this was a really difficult decision, but I am going with Ryoma on this one. Next up, we have Fuyuhiko versus Nagito. In this matchup, I'm gonna go with Fuyuhiko, and I'm gonna let you know why. I think I'm just really burnt out on Nagito, and once Nagito kind of became the poster child of Danganronpa, I kind of got sick of him, to be honest. So for this matchup, I'm going with Fuyuhiko. Now we have Mono Kid versus Monokuma. This one is very easy. None of the Monokubs can beat Monokuma. I don't even know why the Monokubs exist, to be honest with you. I kind of wish they did it, but they're there and I just have to deal with it. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that Monokuma wins that one easily. Now we have Chiaki versus Celeste. I really don't want to do this. These two girls are my two favorite aesthetics of all time. We have gaming and then we have gothic Lolita. As much fun as Celeste has been, I really feel like Chiaki is one of those characters that has always pulled my heartstrings. Her execution in Danganronpa 2 made me really sad, and then on top of that, seeing her be executed in Danganronpa 3 was even worse. So I have a clear-cut winner here, Chiaki all day. Then here we go. We have Ibuki versus Togami. I'm sorry, Togami, but you're not me. You aren't me. I'm sorry, Togami, but I have to go with Ibuki when it comes down to these two. Then we have Akane versus Ryoma. Ryoma has made it this far, and Ryoma should have made it this far, but I'm going to have to give this one to Akane. Okay, now this matchup right here, I already know. This is like a free bracket for me. I am not going with Monokuma at all. I am going with Fuyuhiko. All right, we're making our way back up, and I think this is where an upset is about to happen, unfortunately. As far as Chiaki has gotten, a new favorite character has arisen. As much as I don't have an Ibuki body pillow behind me, I have become an Ibuki stan, like a super Ibuki stan. If I did have an Ibuki body pillow, it would be behind me right now instead of the Chiaki one. I know, it happened, guys. It happened recently. I've been a huge fan of Ibuki for some reason. I don't know what happened. We're choosing Ibuki. Wow, what an upset, y'all. Now we have Akane versus Fuyuhiko, two of my favorite underrated characters. As much as I know I've been sitting here saying that Akane is underrated and she's deserved more, Baby Gangsta is just way too good. Way too good to not get into the higher bracket. I'm giving it to Baby Gangsta. Here we are. We're almost at the end of the bracket on the left side. We have Ibuki versus Fuyuhiko. Who is going to win? I think the person that I have to pick here is Fuyuhiko. I'm sorry, Ibuki. As much as I love you, Ibuki, Fuyuhiko has made it into the final round. Can we give Fuyuhiko a round of applause? Baby Gangsta definitely deserves that. All right, let's go on to the right side now. So our first matchup that we have here is Alter Ego versus Himiko. What the freak? Okay, I think this is a freebie. I'm not gonna give that to Alter Ego. We definitely have to give that to Himiko. Himiko's getting a freebie round there. Oh, this one's tough. We have Aoi Asahina versus Angie Yanaga. Even though both of these characters are my vibe, I feel like Angie just had so much potential. And recently, she's become my favorite character because I've been sitting here making like AUs and stuff, just thinking about like, what if she was really the mastermind and stuff like that. She is just so much more fun of a character. Okay, so here we pretty much have another freebie bracket. This is Hiyoko versus Monofani, and I'm definitely giving this one to Hiyoko. Okay, so this next one is Hagakure versus Kiyotaka. I know earlier I said that Kiyotaka and Mondo, when separated, they're not as good, but if we're putting Kiyotaka versus Hagakure, I'm not gonna say that I hate Hagakure because a lot of people say that they hate Hagakure. I don't hate them. I just feel like their character is just one of those really dumb, useless characters that they put in anime just so you can kind of just have as comic relief, but they're not really comic relief because they're not funny. So I'm going with Kiyotaka. We have Gonta versus Kurumi. Oh my god. This was a tough one for me because I am a big fan of both characters. I think what really ruined Kurumi for me, like although I really liked Kurumi when I was playing V3, I kind of lost the hype for her character. Maybe it was because of the plot twist and me kind of watching videos talking about how the plot twist was bad and such like that, and just seeing people's opinions and stuff on the internet. I think now that I'm a little bit more seasoned with V3 now and all of the characters, I'm gonna have to go with Gonta being over Kurumi. Oh my god, Mikan. As much as I love Mikan, you are in a really bad matchup. I am very sorry. So we have Mikan versus Komaru here. Y'all already know which side I'm going on this one. Komaru all day, 100%. That is easy. Why does this matchup exist? What the freak is going on here? Why do we have Teruteru versus Hifumi? I literally have to pick the worst of the worst right now. If I'm picking the worst of the worst, I'm going with Hifumi. Hifumi is a lot better than Teruteru. Sadly, Hifumi, I don't think is gonna last the next round, but I'm gonna have to give it to him here. Next up, we have Sakura versus Sayaka. For me, this is a really bad matchup for Sayaka because I would have picked her if it wasn't Sakura. If this was like Sayaka and like Sonya or Sayaka and Leon or something like that, I would have definitely picked Sayaka. The funny thing about it is the reason why I like Sakura isn't really because of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, but it's more so Danganronpa Defiance. Sakura's relationship with Kokichi and also Mukuro in that is so freaking adorable. And it's hard for me to see Sakura in any other way. So I'm going to go with Sakura here. So the next matchup that we have is Sonya versus Mukuro. And I'll be honest with you guys, Mukuro is probably going to sweep this side, especially after looking at all of this Danganronpa if content recently. I'm just like, man, Mukuro is such a great character. Sonya, she just really bores me. She's funny. She has a lot of like really funny derpy moments in Danganronpa 2. She's just not my type of character. I'm going with Mukuro. Okay, next up we have Korekiyo versus Leon. This, oh my god, this right side is really, really bad. I don't think I have to explain much about this one. Leon takes the cake. I don't think I have anything else to say about that. So next up on the matchups, we have Peko Peko Yama versus Jotaro. Jotaro annoys the crap out of me. Like as soon as Jotaro's dialogue like starts to happen, I instantly get annoyed. Like I'm just like, I tune out. I just tune out. I'm just not really big on characters who self-loathe. And I think that's what annoys me about Nagito. And I didn't say that when we were choosing our matchups for Nagito, but the self-loathing just really bothers me. I'm just like, okay, we get it. Like just stop being so negative about yourself. I'm going with Peko. Oh, okay. This is a good matchup. We have Maki versus Rantaro. I'm going with Rantaro. Next up, we have Monica versus Kodako. And this one is very easy. Kodako all day. I don't even have to explain that one. The next matchup is Monodam versus Monosuke. Very easy matchup. Monodam all night long. Another really easy throwaway bracket. We have Masaru versus Nagisa. Nagisa team all the way. And we have Korakuma versus Shirakuma. And this is another very easy matchup for me. Korakuma all day and night. All right, so we're moving back up to the top of the bracket. We have Himiko versus Angie. This one is light work. I'm sorry, Miss Mage, you just didn't give me enough. Angie is a lot better than Himiko. Next up, we have Hiyoko versus Kiyotaka. You guys know me, I'm not the biggest Hiyoko fan, especially against Kiyotaka. I'm going with Kiyotaka on that one. Next up, we have Gonta versus Komaru. Although I really do adore Gonta, I stan Komaru. It's going to be hard for any of these people to beat Komaru. This whole right side is going to be tough. Next up, we have Hifumi versus Sakura. Very easy, light work. Sakura all day on that one. Then we have Mukuro versus Leon Kuwata. Easy. That one's going to Mukuro. Then we have Peko Peko Yama versus Rantaro. Another really easy one. This whole right side is easy for me. I'm going with Rantaro on that. Then we have Kodako versus Monodam. Very, very easy. Kodako. Then we have Nagisa versus Korakuma. I'm going with Korakuma. Y'all thought I was going with Nagisa. Hold on. Korakuma's got a dope though. Korakuma's got the sauce. This is another very light work one. Angie literally is sweeping this side of the board. Let's be honest. I'm picking Angie when it comes to her versus Kiyotaka. Now we have Komaru versus Sakura. As much as I do love Sakura and I have learned to love Sakura, Komaru still takes it. Then we have Mukuro versus Rantaro, and this one's a little bit more difficult, but after doing some thinking, I really thought to myself that like after all this Danganronpa if hype recently and just seeing more of Mukuro, she has become one of my top characters of all time in the series. So I'm giving it to her. And now we have Kodako versus Kodakuma. I'm going with Kodakuma. Let's go. Okay, this is where things get a little difficult. So we have Angie versus Komaru. I know I said it was going to be really hard to beat Komaru, but in this instance, when it is down to the wire, Angie's design was the deciding factor. And I think a lot of you guys would also agree with me on that also. So I'm picking Angie. Angie, let's go. And then when we have this side with Mukuro versus Kodakuma, very, very plain and simple here. Mukuro wins. All right, guys, so we are deciding who is going to be in the finals with Fuyuhiko. I told you guys that Mukuro has been one of my top characters, and also I've seen a lot of AUs with Angie in it where Angie is a really, really fantastic character. Now, what's gonna hold Angie back in this instance is literally how they treated her in Danganronpa V3. If they were to come out with something new that I could see more of Angie that wasn't Danganronpa S, my opinions on Angie might change here, and I would definitely pick Angie over Mukuro. But from what we've gotten of Angie in the main canon series, I'm gonna have to say Mukuro definitely beats Angie. As much as my heart is breaking right now, it's very true. I have to stay true to my heart and just put Mukuro in the finals with Fuyuhiko. I think this is a finals that none of you guys predicted. None of you guys probably thought that I was gonna put Fuyuhiko versus Mukuro in the finals. So I sat here for about 15 minutes contemplating on who I thought could actually win this, and it all boils down to Mukuro. Mukuro is my champion in my bracket. Like I said, a lot of you guys probably didn't see that coming. There was probably a lot of decisions that I made in that bracket that you guys just didn't think that I was going to choose. I've always kind of liked Mukuro, but I think I didn't really get to absorb what I was reading back then, because when I first was getting into the series, I was taking so much of the games all at once. Like I was literally playing the games back to back to back to back to back. But now as I am a seasoned Danganronpa fan, I've been able to kind of like nitpick some of the things that I really want to, you know, read again and replay and kind of just understand the characters a lot more, seeing other people's views on it, seeing other people's takes on it and such like that. And I really do feel like Mukuro is one of those characters that they kind of just tossed aside after really building her up in If, which is sad because I feel like the way they showed her in Danganronpa 3 just didn't really do Mukuro fans like me any justice. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching the video and supporting all of the videos. I would like to see who you guys chose to be in the finals. Who do you guys think is your favorite character out of all of the characters? Let me know. I am very interested, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. Deuces.
Hope will never die.